Welcome to Timeball Games. I'm ELD, here to ask you for help in growing the channel. When we reach 2,500 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a custom leather playmat to one lucky subscriber, so be sure to like and subscribe. Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Timeball Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we've got Matt on Eureka facing off against Andraj on a food chain deck. Always spicy. So Utopia Sprawl, maybe this is wrong. I don't know if Food Chain is actually going to end up being the deck. That's an unusual card for a deck like Food Chain. Eureka looks to be correct. Tropical Island into Ponder. Maybe this is a Enchantress build, though those usually lead out with basic forest. I don't know, we'll figure this out together. And a Narset. That is a potent card versus a deck like Eureka, which is going to need Brainstorm and Ponder to pull the combo together if they don't have it already. And we do see Manipulate Fate and Food Chain. All right, so a little bit of a swerve there. Utopia Sprawl just giving a little bit of acceleration. Typically, the Food Chain decks will run something along the lines of a Noble Hierarch or Birds of Paradise, as that can also be sacrificed to the Food Chain. However, this drawing a card. Narset seeing some Force of Wills for a somewhat easy choice there. And she has done her work in being a dig through time for 3 mana, but will now continue to stay on board, shutting down card drawing for Matt. Food Chain being cast with potential Force of Will back up here. A very scary enchantment has seen play since it was printed. Impulsing in response. Luckily, that does not draw a card. It just puts the card into Matt's hand. Back in the day, when Food Chain was first spoiled, we had cards like... I can't even remember them. There's a handful of cards that replace themselves. Let me know. It's like... There's an elf from Nemesis that gets 3 copies of itself. Kind of Squadron Hawk-ish. To ramp up the Food Chain, so to speak, and eventually drop something like a Thorn Elemental. So really, Food Chain was a card that immediately was embraced by casual players, and in Legacy finds a way to actually be competitive thanks to the high power level of the cards around it. Miss Hollow Griffin being exiled. 2 Force of Will. Everything coming together, and now Mist Hollow Griffin responding with a Veil of Summer. So this will draw a card and make Matt's next spells uncounterable. Able to draw a card. And now infinite mana, so to speak. Arbitrarily large amount of mana into another Mist Hollow Griffin. And now the Walking Ballista. And that is going to do it. So Andraj picking up game number 1. Everything coming together there. It's a nice feeling to pitch your Mist Hollow Griffin to Force of Will. It's like a pact of negation that actually furthers your game plan. Kind of like Pact of Negation in a Hive Mind deck. It's like not only are you countering the spell, but things are getting significantly better for your strategy. Walking Ballista actually just got a cool reprint. So every once in a while people ask about how they can support the channel. Right now we don't do ads or anything. We just got in these buy a box promos of Walking Ballista. Super topical here. So if you do want to support the store, you can Let's see here if this will show up. This new Walking Ballista foil Mecha Godzilla, and it's a cool promo. Every booster box that you buy from us, you get one of those promos with it. So you can head over to our website and pick up a booster box. If you're looking for older stuff that's not listed, you can go ahead and contact us through email or Facebook, and we can get you an older booster box as well. We've got like everything from Pioneer, plus a bunch of older stuff, Planner Chaos, Innistrad, Avacyn Restored, all the Masters series. Back to the action here. Matt on Eureka leading out with just Tropical Island Go. Not the most exciting start, but it could be a turn 2 win off of a Soul Land. That's just how dangerous this deck is. You'll find if you do sleeve up combo in Legacy, that it really puts the pressure on your opponents. And both of these players have that going on with their deck, is that tension that your opponent has to constantly be aware that you might be able to just kill them on the next turn. Now, Eureka a little bit more explosive in that regard. However, Food Chain, if they've got a creature on board or have the ability to get Food Chain plus a creature in the same turn, they can just take right off Eternal Scourge and a couple of Mist Hologriffins going to exile thanks to Manipulate Fate here. Set up a lethal combo plus draw a card. Very good in this deck. I've actually played Manipulate Fate in Limited before, just as a 23rd card, just to thin the deck out. It draws a card. I mean, it's not my best 23rd card, but it was not the most embarrassing. We've got a Food Chain coming in, along with a Gristlebrand and an Omniscience. And now Matt's going to start moving toward victory. He could draw some cards with Gristlebrand. Instead, he's just going to lead out with that Cunning Wish, and that resolves Eureka. A very powerful effect at 1 more mana than Show and Tell, but very often functions the same way. I mean, getting in that Omniscience is really the key thing. That was probably the perfect setup for Eureka, is the ability to get in both Gristlebrand and Omniscience. That's one of the only times that it's actually better than Show and Tell. The other thing is getting in a bunch of extra lands can be relevant versus taxing effects. Things like Thalia, for example, can be a bit of a problem. And if you happen to be flooded out, you can put in a ton of lands and potentially work around that extra 1 mana that has to be paid due to Thalia or Lodestone Golem, anything like that. So Matt mulliganing here. Eureka, I would say, is not as good a card in Eureka as Sneak Attack. If mana colors were not an issue, I think you would just play Sneak Attack over Eureka in all likelihood. The Omniscience kill is incredibly important. I mean, it's tough. The Eureka kill is in line with most of your Show and Tell kills, where you're getting an Omniscience, and that's really where the deck is its best. The thing is, when the deck's not working, Eureka doesn't do a whole lot, whereas Sneak Attack can at least come down and potentially give you live top decks. So it's definitely a trade-off on some level. It's not strictly better or worse, but Eureka as a card is clunky at 4 mana, difficult to resolve. The drawback of your opponent putting in multiple cards, very rarely is that actually the primary drawback. It's really the extra 1 mana. Particularly green mana. There's a big difference in between 3 and a red or 2 and 2 green. Particularly when you're facing down something like Blood Moon. And Andraj leading out with a basic island. Matt has Ancient Tomb go. Basic Forest into Manipulate Fate, setting up A lethal exile zone, Eternal Scourge with a couple of missed hologriffins. That Scourge is a nice printing for Food Chain. Back at Eldritch Moon, I believe it is. Just incrementally improved the deck. Having a extra card at 3 mana just makes it that much easier to ramp up. You can go from a Baleful Strix into the Eternal Scourge, or Icefang Coatl for that matter. Any of your 2 casting cost creatures will allow you to win. Or just a pair of 1 casting cost creatures. Ancient Tomb, plenty of colorless mana now here for Matt. Brainstorm from Andraj. And Matt disinterestedly poking at his cards, signaling that he is perhaps just at the whim of the top of the deck here. Just whatever happens, he's got the show and tell. Now Manipulate Fate. Getting some more Missed Hologriffins out of the deck, along with, actually just one more, along with a Verdant Catacombs and a Utopia Sprawl. Barely thinning the deck there, but drawing a card. Matt may have the show and tell ready to go. It looks like at the front of his hand, but perhaps nothing to go along with it. Narset. That is a punishing card. That's just going to either allow Andraj to find the win or get some defenses to stop Eureka from actually pulling anything together. It's one major issue with the show and tell style decks is you really don't have any type of board presence. There are not situations where you're kind of jockeying for position on the battlefield and kind of going back and forth. I mean, you're either winning or losing. And a card like Narset is a huge, huge bomb with no real way to clear it. It's not like you've got incidental creatures like a Vampire Hex Mage or a Dark Confidant, anything like that. Force of Will stopping Intuition. And Narset finds Force of Negation. Just adding additional defense. Oh, but now Boseiju. You know, I've been really critical of this card, and I've seen it work out incredibly well for Matt on camera. For the most part, I felt like it was always a turn too late. Coming into play tapped. And now Food Chain coming down. We'll see what Matt can do with this uncounterable one-shot. He can jam a show and tell. I believe he can. Oh, I guess he doesn't have anything to put in. Or perhaps it's just... I mean, even getting in a Gristlebrand would be totally fine here. Be willing to pay 7 life just to draw a card potentially in this situation. If they can get you closer to an Emrakul or... a Cunning Wish. Now Eternal Scourge. And we're going to be seeing infinite mana here. Now, worst case scenario, it's going to be Eternal Scourge and a bunch of Missed Hologriffins. But he's got the Walking Ballista. Brainstorm's going to draw 1, put 2 back on top. A desperation play and not going to be able to stop Andraj from taking it down here. Back-to-back, or in 3 games there, both wins with that Walking Ballista kill. Another little improvement. The deck used to run Emrakul. Now Walking Ballista, just a little bit better in that it's actually castable. And one hell of a Magic card. that is all for this one. But don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.